was it that I wanted to talk about? There was something I wanted to talk about. Like, I was thinking about it on the way here. I was coming back from that jam session in the forest. I was like, yo, there's a whole lot of shit that I could be talking about. Fuck, it's gone from my mind. Alright, it's back. It's back in my brain. Let me roll this thing. And then, yeah, while I smoke it, I can chat about it all. Blossom Flower, welcome. It's nice to have you back. I'm doing pretty well. The queue doesn't work like that, my friend. Not yet, anyway. I don't think it ever will. Just ask a question to join the queue. That's how the queue works. Hope you're doing well. I just came back from a little jam session in the forest with my lover. Made some music together. Did some yoga. It was really cool. What do people love about your personality? Amazing question. You're the first reading in the queue, by the way, so yeah, first reading of the day. So as I was coming back from this walk into the forest where we did our jam sesh, I was thinking about my life, because I was thinking back on all of the most like striking core memories I could think of, and I realized all of them are like pain. When I was 8 years old, I was bitten by a snake. That one was the first one that came to mind. 11 years old, drowned in the sea. That was the second one that came to mind. Basically, all of these memories that like really stood out to me were moments of serious pain and desolation or near-death experience, which is, yeah, really interesting considering that movie, Inside Out. I'm sure you've seen it. So in that movie, they show us how the mind creates core memories and how personalities developed around that. And I was thinking, okay, so what happens when a person's core memories are traumas? Where their core memories are formed off of traumas. Does that mean that their personality develops around those? Yeah. And then I correlated that to practices that I'm currently working with. So last year sometime, I decided it was time to overcome my fear of snakes, because I would walk around and everywhere I walk I'm imagining I'm about to step on a snake. Every step I take is riddled with fear of stepping on a snake, and that I know it was rooted in my experience being bit by a snake as a child. So I was like, hey, I need to conquer this fear. So I fashioned myself a spear and I went snake hunting. I didn't find a snake the first time, so not the second time. But eventually I did find a snake, and so I killed that snake in a ritualized fashion and, yeah, put it on an altar and then cooked it and ate it as part of the ritual. And looking back on that today as I was walking back here, I was like, yeah, that was antimony. That was me basically creating a new traumatic experience, but instead of making it something that was unexpected or terrifying, this trauma was sacred. And yeah, I was wondering how that kind of information might work for others, people who are also struggling with traumas that prevent them from living day to day because their core memories are based on early childhood traumatic events, and then how they could transmute that into something sacred and yeah, something solid. Anyway, Blossom Flower is the first in the queue, and now I see we've got Punch Drinker. Welcome back. My question is a general why to the divine. Okay, cool, you're in the queue. And then we've got Gugu on Facebook who says, hi, can you please help me do the reading about my relationship and pregnancy? I need help. Okay, cool. So Gugu, what is your question? I can work with reading regarding relationship and pregnancy. And if that's cool with you, if you like that question, then yeah, you're in the queue. Anyway, I'm going to start with Blossom Flower, and after Blossom Flower is Punch Drinker, and then you. So we've got 3 readings in the queue out of a total of 16 readings that I do for in these 2-hour gaps. Happy New Year to Dark, who has joined us on Facebook, on YouTube. You'd like a reading on what's coming this year? Amazing. Just letting you know that you're in the queue. Your question automatically adds you to the queue. So that's 4 readings in my queue. And Ashley Seymour, welcome. It's good to see you again. Happy New Year, if I haven't said it already. Will I find a solution to my obstacle today? So you're the 5th reading in the queue, starting with Blossom Flower. Let me confirm, what was Blossom Flower's question? What do people love about my personality? This is a past interval, present, and future. Okay, so your past interval is number 15 of the trumps, and it's called the Devil. So what this card is saying to me is that up until now, in the past basically, I feel like it's specifically talking about mid to end of 2021, people perceived you as an enemy. They perceived you as like resistance. Whenever someone's having a conversation or trying to express themselves, they feel like you always have to be otherwise in the conversation. You have to challenge what they have to say. You have to make yourself out to be better, etc. And this was something that people perceived in you. It didn't necessarily make them hate you or despise you. Like sometimes that devil character can make people really not enjoy a person's company. In this case, however, people were finding that you provided challenges for them to re-examine their identity. So they would speak something and you'd challenge it, and yeah, that's irritating for them, but it made them re-examine what they were saying and really take themselves to task and ask, is this actually something that I stand for, and is it worth arguing about, or should I hear what he has to say? So all in all, it's an irritating character trait to have, but it is something that is in the past. It's something that you've been through. We often display various archetypes based on what we're currently experiencing in our environment. I know if I'm feeling angsty and frustrated because of whatever I'm dealing with, if I've got deadlines to meet and I don't know how to get there and I'm frustrated, then I will find that I start to become more of this devil archetype of challenging what other people have to say. But that's not a constant. That only happens at certain points in life, and I've come to recognize it when it happens and then choose to shut myself up. And I have a mantra for those moments, and I say, if I got nothing nice to say, I won't say anything at all. In the present, I have for you a Prince of Discs. So the Prince energy is about choosing to face off challenges that you have been putting to one side, that you've been like avoiding confrontation, avoiding that challenge. And discs is specifically to do with your physical environment, so that's income, finances, health, and fitness. So this card is saying that what people are seeing in you in the present is that you are very motivated, like you're willing to take on whatever challenge is necessary. So you need to develop, you might have some difficulty with finances. Let's say, for instance, this is an example, there's some difficulty with your finances, and you can see what those blockages are that are preventing you from getting there, and you will start to come up with creative solutions. You'll start taking the knowledge you have and you'll start taking the experiences you have and starting to apply them in a creative way to overcome that problem. And this is something people are appreciating about you. When it comes to exercise routine, health, whatever it might be, whatever the problem is. So if it's to do with health and there's like an issue with the health, you'll examine, okay, so you say this aspect of my diet is fucking with my health, so therefore I'm going to adjust this even if it's uncomfortable for me, because last year I went through an experience where I didn't have a lot of food in the house, so I was making do with whatever I could get a hold of, and that taught me something about shifting diet and being able to push through that kind of resistance. So people are seeing that in you. They're seeing that motivated character where you can just come up with a solution. If you're faced with a problem, you can face it head on and find solutions based on your knowledge and your experience. Future interval is the Five of Swords reversed. So 5 is about applying yourself to your limits. So yeah, we were talking about experiences and knowledge with this one. Now 5 takes it a little bit further and says resources as well. So that's like for me in what I'm doing, technology is a resource, and there's often a limit on what I can do with this technology because of it's below entry level. So basically 5 is about applying yourself and your knowledge and your resources to their maximum potential regarding whatever it is that you're working on. Swords is to do with purpose, so that's applying it towards accomplishing your purpose. And purpose is when you identify what your heart desires and then you start applying your will to attain it. Then you're existing within purpose in that moment. So what this card is saying to me is that people, what's about to open up for you is that you're going to be inspiring people to apply themselves to their limits. And the card wants to, it's reversed, so it's saying just be aware that you're not encouraging people to reach for things that are beyond the limits of their resources, beyond the limits of their knowledge, and beyond the limits of their experiences. You're going to be an inspiration in that way. People are going to see you doing this, seeing you apply yourself despite your limits in order to attain your purpose and reach for your purpose. But the card is reversed, so it's just like a heads up saying to you, when people are inspired by this and they say, oh, I feel like I'm ready now to reach for this thing, you must have discernment and just say to them, hey, listen, for me, I'm reaching this far because I know that that is within the reach of what I can do with what I currently know and what I currently have. Just make them aware that there are limits on their knowledge and there are limits on their resources. Just bring their attention to that and say, okay, just be mindful that you're not reaching beyond what your resources and your knowledge can carry for you. Every minute that you live and every step that you take, you'll be breaking through those limitations and you'll be able to reach a little bit further. But from the moment that you start, it's very important to keep your goals and your purpose reasonably attainable. If you're trying to reach further than what your knowledge and your resources can take you, you're going to be met with more resistance than you can overcome. And yeah, that concludes your reading. So thank you very much for joining. If you felt like you got some value out of the spread, please feel free to send a donation of your choosing. I believe you're already following me. If you like, you can check out my other platforms and follow me and support me on those platforms too. Thank you so much. All of my links are on my channel. You're watching from Twitch, so it's all the social links on the side. There's some recommended streamers at the bottom, etc. Thank you. Moving on. And you're most welcome. Punch Drinker wants a general why from the universe. Fair. Very much fair. Hope you don't mind if I light this cigarette here. I typically smoke after I've eaten lunch, and I haven't yet, so I'm feeling strong cravings there. But I am trying to like slow down and adjust my habits, so this morning, every morning I wake up and I have coffee and a cigarette, and that's just my routine. That's how I live. But I want to just shift that. I want it to just be the coffee for now. I can change that to tea. I can change tea to yoga. For now, I just want to get rid of the cigarette in the morning. I also want to like make bigger gaps between the times that I smoke. Thank you, Punch Drinker. I'm going to lay out your spread before I light that edge. On behalf of Punch Drinker, answer me why, O God. Answer me why, O universe. Okay. Okay, so your past interval here, it is the Three of Cups reversed. So 3 is about, it's about becoming aware of yourself. It's about self-awareness, and Cups is about emotion. And not only is it about self-awareness, it's also about nourishment. When we move from 1 to 3, by the time we reach 3, whatever we have set in motion, or whatever we're trying to create, once it reaches 3, it can't be derailed. So when it's in the state of 1, it's become words. Your thoughts have become words. That's their first physical form. When we reach 2, it's more than just words. It's in the minds of others. It's in the words of others. And by the time we reach 3 and we're self-aware, we're becoming aware of what we need to do and who we need to become in order to see that outcome finally realized. And once you reach that point of 3, all the efforts that you've made have solidified it into reality. It can't be undone anymore. What you have said, what you have attempted to accomplish can't be undone by the time you reach 3. That point of self-awareness, becoming aware of what's happened. So this is talking about emotions, and the card is reversed. It's saying that you have come out of 2021. During that period, during 2021, especially the last couple of months of that, you were becoming aware of how you had been, how you'd been allowing your emotions to get in the way of your whatever you were trying to create. So, becoming self-aware of your emotions, particularly negative emotions, and how they impacted your environment and how they impacted your relationships. And that's what that card has to say. It was just, you suddenly came into the realization, you were like, holy shit, I'm actually responsible for this disharmony that's in the relationship because I said something spiteful when I felt a trigger, and that trigger was nothing to do with the other person, it was to do with my own traumas. And basically that's what this card is saying. It's talking about becoming aware of how your emotions and how you interacted with your negative emotions that had nothing to do with others affected others negatively. In the present, you have number 12 of the trumps, and it's reversed. So this card is the answer to your why. This card is saying that you are choosing to face this. Whatever it is that you're going through and you're asking the universe why, you chose to face it because you believed you were ready to endure this suffering. You believed you've been through enough, you have learned enough in the last year that now you are ready to face this suffering, this challenge. It's a reverse card, so it's not just a challenge, but it's also suffering, it's also painful. It's something that you've been putting aside because you felt you weren't ready, but in the present you have decided that you are ready, and so the universe is giving you that challenge, it's giving you that suffering, so that you can prove to yourself that what you've learned and what you've been through hasn't been for nothing, that it has given you the strength and the potential that's necessary in order to evolve through this suffering period. Future interval is number 16 of the trumps. It's called the Tower. Don't know if you're familiar with the Tower, but the Tower is about being aware of your insecurities. It's about acknowledging things you've believed about yourself and what you're capable of that are not necessarily true. It's the right way around, and it's a future interval, so it's what's just opening for you. It's what you're about to step into. It's basically an encouragement card. It's saying that as you go through this period of suffering that you've essentially chosen, that you've said, hey, I'm ready for this and I need to prove to myself that I can overcome, give me the challenge and the suffering I've been avoiding so that I can prove that to myself, so that I will be able to rely on myself better in the future and trust myself. So as you're going through that, to just have a look at yourself and see what aspects you have what you believed you were capable of that you're not capable of. So as you're facing these challenges, there are certain aspects of the suffering that you can't cope with necessarily, that you might have previously thought you would be able to handle, and that's an insecurity. Any time that you justify yourself, that's also an insecurity. If you do something that's hurtful to someone and then you tell yourself a story about why it's okay for you to say that based on something they did or something they said, sure, maybe it is just, but it's an insecurity. To examine yourself and be aware of all of those things. And this card is telling you to do that because at some point someone's going to do something, or someone's going to say something, or an event is going to happen in your life that's going to force you to acknowledge your insecurities, and that will be painful and jarring. So as you're going through what you're going through now, to make yourself aware of your insecurities and to work them out, acknowledge them, accept them, and make conscious decisions to change them as you're going forward, and base your identity around solid truths regarding yourself and what you're capable of, you can avoid that unnecessary pain when a life event happens or when someone triggers you and it makes you aware of your insecurities. You will already have you will already be aware of them. So it won't be that jarring, like striking, unnecessary pain. That card is there just to say, do the self-reflection yourself, make yourself aware of your insecurities now, so that you can avoid that kind of pain when life events try to force you to be aware of them. And that concludes your reading. I hope that it answers your question of why. I hope it resonates, and if you found some value in the interpretation of the spread, please follow. I think you already have. Support me on my other platforms, whatever you can. If you buy the means to send a donation, that would be so much appreciated. Thank you so much. You used to call yourself a walking tower. Yeah, I'm the eye that's there in that card. I'm the eye that's shooting lightning bolts everywhere, knocking down all the towers. The eye of perception. Okay, so next in my queue is Gugu. Gugu Gimel Shina. Gugu Gimel Shina, if you're here, please confirm so that I can... Yeah, you're up next in the queue, so I'm going to do a reading about your relationship and your current pregnancy. Just let me know if you're in the queue. I mean, if you're still in the chat. But anyway, I'm going to greet our new arrivals. Ren's Crew says, I have a girl that I like and we've been dating. Does she like me, and what would be the outcome? Thank you for your question. Your question adds you to the queue. So I've got Gugu and then Dark and then Ashley ahead of you. So there's 3 readings ahead of you. Addressing Ren's Cruise, I've got 3 readings ahead of you. And then we've got Deep Tea who has joined the chat. Welcome, Deep Tea. Good day to you. And we've got Rocky ML who says, how is my 2022 family life and financial stability? Awesome. Cosmic Dust, welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, amazing. So Gugu, you're up next. And I see you adjusted your question. You said, I want to know how can I overcome the obstacles I'm facing in my relationship? What must I do? I want to know if he will come back to me. As he said, he's tired of our relationship. I wanted to know if we will still be together. Dark says, which background music? Are you implying that my background music isn't playing? Tony Allen, welcome. It's nice to see you. I hope everything's going well with you since we last spoke. Yeah, just ask a question to get added to the queue. There are already quite a few readings in the queue, and as you guys know, I'm only here for 2 hours, so that is about 16 readings in total, and I've given away 3. Next up is Gugu. Ah, Dark says it's playing really nice. Yeah, Adrian von Ziegler is one of my favorite artists. I can't actually hear the background music. The background music is playing only for you guys. If I had to play it out loud for myself, then you would pick it up twice. Once through the mic and once through the system. So I don't actually know exactly which track is playing. Yeah, sorry about that. So what advice does the universe have for Gugu regarding the present situation of her relationship? Wanderer and Wanderer, welcome to the chat. Haven't seen you here before. Thank you for joining us. To get added to the queue, you just go ahead and ask a question. And thank you for your recognition on the music. Soft and ambient, that was the point. Thank you. Okay, so Gugu, well, the first card that I have for you, which is your past interval, is the Ten of Wands reversed. So when I see this card reversed, it talks about reaping, so you know the saying, you reap what you sow? So when I see the Ten of Wands reversed, it's about sowing negative, unhealthy, toxic intentions and then reaping that as a result. What you sow is what you will reap. It's just how it is. If you're putting out negativity into other people's lives, other people start to return that to you. If you gossip about people, other people gossip about you. This is in the past, so this is what your 2021 looked like, particularly in your relationship. There were, I don't know if it started with you, if you were the one who started sowing the negativity and the spitefulness or whatever it might be, but this card is definitely talking about how 2021 you reaped that harvest. You reaped negativity. People were gossiping about you. People were pointing fingers. Your man, your partner was accusing you, was treating you badly, neglecting you, and this was all a result of your own actions. You had sown all of these things. You had neglected him. I don't know if it started with you, like I said, but definitely you did perpetuate it. You brought it back full circle onto yourself. But that is closing. You've reaped that harvest. You've experienced the ramifications of your negative seeds, and now you are in the present. In the present we have the Empress reversed. So it's number 3 of the trumps, and the Empress, this card is about feminine energies. It's about the divine feminine. If I had to bring it down to one single word, it would be light. You know, like Venus is the morning star, the symbol of hope and light and enlightenment, wisdom, knowledge. Not only is it light, but it's also about nourishment, nourishing your thoughts, nourishing your plans, giving them the food that's necessary for them to manifest. This card, I'm feeling like it particularly relates to your relationship with your mother. There's some difficulty there, some resistance there, because your mother is the representation of the divine feminine in your life. And as you are pregnant and as you are giving birth, you are feeding and nourishing your own life in your womb. You're shifting from the virgin archetype, the princess archetype, into the queen, into the mother. And so your relationship with your mother is very important in that shift. So if your relationship with your mother is at odds and you guys have distance and resistances, that is influencing who you are as the mother. As you step into the mother, you're influenced by your relationship with your mother. How you're seeing your mother is how you are becoming. That's what this card is saying. It wants you to turn that card around. It wants you to, it's reversed right now. It wants you to, by being aware of this fact, turn it around. Go and reach out to your mother. Apologize to her if that's necessary, if you've done something that is worthy of an apology. If it's not, if it's from her end, tell her forgiveness, show her compassion. Try and repair that relationship. Try and adjust how you are perceiving her so that you can adjust who you are becoming as a mother. More than that, the card is also about self-awareness. It's about being aware of yourself. So like this card is talking about negative intentions and reaping the harvest of those negative intentions throughout 2021, being aware of shit like that in the present, being aware of moments where you get triggered and you have negative feelings, and then being aware, just making sure not to repeat the mistakes you've made in the past of starting to sow that into the environment, starting to treat people with that negative energy that you're feeling, because that'll just perpetuate the cycle. You'll just keep bringing that negativity back to you. And then if that negativity doesn't start with you, if it's coming from outside sources, it's important that you learn to transmute those things. And now I know it might feel a little bit unfair, like I'm saying to you basically, you need to be a parent. You need to be a parent to yourself, to your child, to your mother, to your partner. And it might feel like a lot, like, hey, why do I have to be the one to take responsibility all the time? Why can't these people around me start taking responsibility? And the truth is, you don't have to. You can continue to perpetuate the cycle, but that's exactly what will happen. If you don't take responsibility, who is going to take responsibility? Who's going to start transmuting that negativity? Who's going to start forgiving? Who's going to start apologizing if it's not you? If you want to see a change happen, if you want to see a healthy feminine archetype start to bloom, you need to be the source of that change, or otherwise things are going to stay the way they are. Future interval is the Two of Cups reversed. So this is what's about to open for you. So the Two of Cups talks about potential, potential for emotional fulfillment and emotional abundance. And this card is saying that up until this point in time where you've been, you have been looking for emotional fulfillment from outside sources, having an attachment to result, like having this idea in your mind that it's up to someone else to make you feel better about yourself. And that's not healthy. That will always result in disappointment. There will be moments where you feel like an infatuation feeling, where you'll feel some positive emotion, but if you're looking for it from an outside source, it's always going to be brief, short-lived, and followed by disappointment and despair. As soon as that person is no longer in your space, you're going to feel like you're lacking something, and the more that they are in your space and you're taking that from them, the more drained and empty their cup is going to feel. So what this card wants to say to you is that what's opening up for you is the chance to start filling your own cup, finding emotional fulfillment in yourself and in your purpose as a mother and as a woman, not seeking that validation from anyone except your own spirit. So yeah, just looking at yourself and saying, okay, I'm taking action to make my life better for myself. I'm taking responsibility for myself, and that is amazing. I'm proud of myself for that, and I don't need someone else to recognize me. And when someone else says something like, oh, you sit around and you don't do anything all day, you know better. You know what you have been doing. You know what you have been working on, and you know what you're breaking through and what kind of growth you're undergoing in that present moment. So it doesn't matter what other people are perceiving or seeing or projecting. You can be secure within what you know about yourself. And that's going to be difficult. The card is saying that's going to be a difficult thing because it's a shift in the cycle. Until this point, you've been very much influenced by what other people are perceiving. And yeah, what's opening up for you is you turning that around so that it all comes from within you. And when your cup is full, it can overflow onto people around you, and they can learn from your example and start to fill their own cups. And this applies to your relationship with your mother, as we discussed with the present card, and it applies to your siblings. It applies to your relationship. So the tarot is saying that there is the opportunity for your relationship to heal, but there's a lot of work you're going to have to do on yourself, and you're going to have to let go of this attachment, this idea of like needing the relationship to work. You got to let go of that first before there's even a chance that it will work. You got to let go of it and accept the possibility that it might not work, and then work on yourself while you're doing that, and learn to find fulfillment within yourself while you're doing that. And as that happens, as you shift, so will your relationships shift, and they will become healthier. Perhaps you don't ever repair the relationship that you currently have, your current romantic relationship. Perhaps you never have that as the loving, intimate relationship that you knew until this point, but it will change. It will become healthy. There is a good, hopeful outcome for that relationship, even if it's not romantic, especially considering the fact that you're carrying his child. Yeah, that will bind you guys together forever. Even if he tries to run away, he is bound to you forever because you're carrying his child. Whether you get into another relationship with someone else, there will always be a relationship between you and him, whatever it looks like, whether it's platonic, vengeful, or romantic, there will always be some kind of relationship there. And that concludes your reading. So I hope that it resonates with you, and I hope that you received some value, and if so, I'd encourage you to return some value by following, by liking, by sharing, and if you're by the means, by sending a donation. Thank you so much. You see this here where you say, are we going to get back together with my man? That desperation is what you need to let go of, Gugu. You need to let go of that desperate need to be with him. As soon as you can let go of that, then hope for reparations become a reality. As long as you maintain that attachment and that desperate need to be fulfilled from an outside source, you're damaging the relationship further. Only once you can let go of that attachment, which is painful, I know, trust me, I know how painful it is to let go of that kind of attachment, but that's what's necessary before you can even hope for a reparation or a reconciliation. Ashley, hi Josh, I got off for a minute, no problem. Yeah, you're next, Ashley. So you came back just in time. No, I just finished Gugu's reading, and you're next in the queue. And you're looking for solutions to your obstacles today. Amazing. How can Ashley overcome the obstacles which appear to be insurmountable today? Welcome to the chat, Manju. If you'd like to join the queue for a reading, please ask a question, and that will add you to the queue. I answer the questions as they appear in the chat. 6 of Wands. Ashley, your first card is a 6 of Wands reversed. So this card talks about becoming aware of your limitations and then pushing through them. Becoming aware of your limitations through relationships. This is what happened for you in the last month of 2021, just before we moved into the new year. So Wands is about desires and intentions. So in the last month of 2021, you were setting intentions towards your desires, and then you were applying your knowledge and your experiences to their limits, to the maximum potential in order to see it realized. And you started interacting with new groups of people, and they made you aware of how you still had limitations and how you might have been overreaching, trying to reach a little bit further than what your knowledge and your resources could carry you. At the same time, they also shared bits of their own experiences, shared bits of their own knowledge, and you ended up with access to new resources which helped you overcome those limitations. Becoming aware of the limitations themselves was a difficult thing. It was a little bit of a challenge to acknowledge that you had that what you were trying to reach for was outside of your reach, based on your technology, based on your wealth, based on your knowledge. It was a little bit difficult to acknowledge and accept that fact, but then at the same time you were inspired because people were giving you bits of information and access to new resources which helped you reach a little bit further than you had been reaching. And at the same time as that, as you interacted with them and as they gave you pieces of the puzzle, you gave them pieces of the puzzle. You gave them access to new knowledge and experiences that made them aware of their limitations and how they could be doing better, and access to new resources which helped them reach a little bit further towards their desires. In the present, we have number 17 of the trumps. So this card is here to answer you how you can overcome the challenges you're facing today. So the star, it talks about learning to direct and channel emotional energy, whether that be positive energy or negative energy. So I don't know exactly what this challenge is that you're trying to overcome, but what this card is saying to me is that you can get through any problem, you can get through anything if you are able to stay centered and balanced, regardless of what people are trying to trigger in you, regardless of what people are saying. Basically, no matter how much you feel, no matter how intense those feelings are, to stay aligned, stay composed, and choose to speak and act with purpose rather than acting or speaking out of the emotion that you're feeling. And being able to do that, being able to direct those emotions from above to below, keeping yourself composed no matter what you're feeling, that'll get you through anything. You'll be able to walk unscathed through the most deadly ocean, no matter how difficult this challenge is. If you can stay composed no matter what you're feeling, you can get through it. So that's the solution to getting through your challenge. And I see that you say you're putting an offer on a house today after many years of trying to build on some land. Well, I can imagine that there's a fear of failure that you're experiencing, and that fear of failure it almost feels like it's keeping you stagnant, like it's preventing you from actually making progress or going out to make this offer. It almost makes you want to shut your mouth and do nothing. I know that feeling. So that is very much relevant to this card. No matter how much fear you're feeling, no matter how much no matter what the emotion is, or how intense it is, or what it's telling you to do, if you continue to act and speak with purpose, you will get through this challenge. Yeah, future interval. This one is a key. This one is a key to unlock the future you're trying to manifest. So that is to end up with this house. It's the 8 of discs. This card is called prudence. If it had to be like brought down to one single word, its word would be prudence. So what this card is saying to me is that some shifts and some adjustments you're going to need to make regarding your finances, regarding your income and your expense. At the moment, there isn't a balance. Your expense stands higher than your income, and this is something that's a blockage in what you're trying to create. Like when you put an offer on a house or when you apply for a bond, if your expense outweighs your income, chances are it will be denied. So some adjustments and some shifts are going to have to happen in what you spend on, lifestyle and habits, certain luxuries and comforts that you feel like you can't live without are going to have to be integrated and cut off, let go of things that are not serving you, things that are not of the highest priority. To choose what is highest priority, let go of the things that are not, so that you can create a balance between income and expense. So that's a suggestion that you can start working on right now in the present in order to see the future that you want to realize. Maybe you get this house, maybe your bond is approved, maybe not. Either way, the future that you're trying to create of building a house, building on land, and getting hold of whatever it is that you're creating, this vision of having a home space, a secure home space, can be realized by making these shifts regardless of today's outcome. And if you do get the house and it all works out, it's still going to be important for you to make these shifts, to make these adjustments to your lifestyle and your habits, so that you can create a balance between your income and your expense. Existing within the security that you want to create is going to require that shift. And then the last thing this card wants to say is that when you acknowledge the things that are out of balance and you make the conscious decision to shift, then the shift begins. Regardless of whether you're actively working towards it or not, it starts to happen from that moment of acknowledgement and acceptance. It's almost not even optional. Once that the acknowledgement, the acceptance, and the decision is made, it's no longer optional. It starts to happen of its own accord, and you almost can't stop it at that point. And that concludes your reading. So thank you very much for joining, and I hope that you got some value from the spread and its interpretation. And if so, I'd encourage you to return some of that value by sending a donation. You're already following me, you can like and share this video, you can support me on my other platforms. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be seeing you again, and good luck. Good luck today, and good luck with the shifts, good luck with the adjustments, and good luck with that dream of a secure home space where you have freedom to be yourself. Good luck. Wealth and prosperity upon you. Okay, next in line is Dark on YouTube. Please let me know, Dark, if you're still here. Want to get a reading on what's coming this year? And then let me just have a look over the chat to see who's arriving. We've got a Richa Sina on YouTube asking, will I get a complete solution of my social problem in this month? Wanderer says, I'm hoping to launch some new projects in January, February. What advice and challenges surround this? Thank you for your question. Manju says, can I get a love reading from me? I'm single, I'm Scorpio. Sindel Mais, welcome to the chat. Hello, would love a reading please. So Sindel, in order to get a reading, you ask a question, that adds you to the queue. Same applies to you, Chulum, who has joined us on Twitch. To get into the queue, you ask a question, and that adds you to the queue. So Happy New Year, guys. Wealth and prosperity upon you this year. I'm going to count the readings in my queue. Okay, Dark, thank you for letting me know. Your reading will be next. So I've got Dark, 1 reading. And then we've got Wren's Cruise 2. And Rocky M 3. Cosmic Dust 4. Tony Allen 5. Skitty on YouTube 6. Just want to let these viewers, these comments that I didn't see earlier, from a Kanishk on YouTube and from a Shayoban on Facebook. You guys, if you want a reading, you got to ask a question. Asking a question adds you to the queue. Again, confirming that for Sindel Maiz on Facebook, if you would like a reading, please ask a question. If you don't ask a question, you don't get added to the queue. Elisa Manzini, same thing. If you'd like a reading, please ask a question. If you don't ask a question, you don't get added to the queue. Basically, there are a fuck ton of readings. I've got like 8 requests lined up, and the next in the queue is Dark. So before I do your reading, Dark, I want to just confirm how long I've been online, because I'm only here for 2 hours, and 2 hours is about 16 readings, and I've already given away 4, possibly 5, so plus 8, it's like 13. We're getting close to the end of the queue. Okay, so I haven't even been online for a full hour yet. Happy New Year, Mercy. Welcome to the chat. And Sindel Maiz, welcome. So guys, I can only do like 16 readings in 2 hours, and there are more than 16 requests lined up. That doesn't mean that you won't get a reading. A lot of people come in, make requests, and then leave the chat before they get their readings. So yeah, a lot of these requests will probably end up being skipped. But if you would like to ensure that you get a reading today still, you can send a donation. If you've just come into the queue and if you've just come into the chat, and you'd like to ensure that you get a reading before I close the stream, you can send a donation. If you send a donation, you will get a reading today. Otherwise, when I reach 2 hours, I close the stream. Thank you for your patience. What lies ahead for Dark in this new year? Past interval here, your first card, it's the Knight of Swords reversed. So this is talking about rebirth, a rebirth of purpose. So the card is reversed, and when I see the card reversed, it means that this rebirth occurred as a result of external influences. It wasn't something you chose of your own accord. It's something that was forced on you by the environment, and that's where you've come from. It's things that have already taken place, and that is 2021, mid to end of 2021. You there were events that took place in your life, meeting new people, new relationships, whatever was happening in that, it all together collectively, it caused you to re-examine your purpose. You had to ask yourself again, actually, what do I want for myself in my life? Because note on purpose is when you have chosen, when you've identified your heart's true desire, and then you apply your will to accomplish that desire, and then you exist within purpose. That's the purpose you set for yourself. It's not something that's given to you by the divine or whatever. It's something that exists in your heart your whole life. So basically, what you were doing wasn't necessarily aligned with your true being, and then there were events and new relationships that made you aware of that fact, that what your heart really wanted wasn't aligned with what you were currently doing. So it made you ask yourself, first of all, what do I actually want? And then ask yourself, okay, what can I do to make that real? What can I do to bring myself into alignment with my heart's desire, and stop wasting my time doing something that doesn't fulfill me? So that's what you've been through. You identified your desire, you decided how you're going to get there. That rebirth process has brought you into the present, which is a 9 of Swords. So in the present, number 9 is about self-reflection. It's a period of self-reflection. Swords, again, talking about purpose. So in the present, because of this rebirth in purpose, you've set a little bit of structure and started taking steps towards obtaining your desire and making it real for yourself, stepping and walking in your purpose that you've set. So at this point in the present, the 3rd of January 2022, you're looking back on what you've done so far in this new purpose. You're looking back and you're saying, okay, where have I acted in a way that has brought me closer to what I'm trying to create? And where have I acted in a way that has taken me further away from what I'm trying to create? And you do this, you've put yourself in this place of self-reflection, because acknowledging where you were at fault and acknowledging where you were aligned helps you as you move forward from this point onwards. It helps you not repeat mistakes. So where you were at fault, acknowledging it and accepting it allows you not to repeat those mistakes. Acknowledging where you've been successful and where you've been aligned allows you to reapply those methods that were successful and helpful to you, so that you can move forward in even greater leaps and bounds than you have been moving until that point, until this point in the present. When we are at this point of 9, we're right before the completion. So whatever this mission was that you set in the last four months of 2021, you set a new mission, you re-examined your purpose, and you chose new purpose, and that mission is arriving at its close. When we go into this period of self-reflection, it's usually right before our mission is complete. It's right before it manifests into its fullness. And that can be a little bit scary. It's like you're standing at the edge, or you're not quite at the edge yet, but you can see it's over there. The end of the road is right there, and it's a little bit scary because you're like, hey, when I get to my destination, what then? What do I do then? So this period of self-reflection, as soon as it's complete, as soon as you've acknowledged where you've been at fault and you've acknowledged where you've been successful, and you recognize how you can apply that newfound wisdom and experience as you move forward, that is when you are in completion. That's when you've arrived at the destination, at the end of the road. And when you're there, what you should be doing is setting new purpose. That's where you go next. It's not a matter of like, oh my god, I'm isolated now, there's nowhere left to go. No, you can just choose a new destination. When you reach the end of the road, you just choose a new destination, set a new purpose, choose a new mission, and start working on that. Just going higher and higher in each rotation of the spiral, essentially. Future interval is number 19 of the trumps reversed. It is called the sun. So this card is your future interval. This is telling you what is opening up for you in 2022. This is what your 2022 looks like, and it has two aspects. There's one that's a warning and one that is a blessing. First of all, it's saying that 2022, you are going to step into your power. You're going to come into the fruition of yourself as a source of energy and a source of abundance. Just like the sun is a source for our solar system, the light that radiates from the sun, the energy that radiates from that star that we call the sun, is what gives our planet its potential to bring forth life and abundance the way it does. So similarly, 2022 is going to see you stepping into that role in your own life and in your universe. You're going to become the source of energy, and you're going to radiate energy out of you. And just by being yourself, the environment receives its potential to bring forth abundance and life. And that's abundance in finances, abundance in emotions, it's abundance of all kinds. And the people in your life, much like the planets that orbit the sun, people in your life are going to become almost reliant on you. You're going to become a dependable source of energy that people can revolve around and find the potential to bring forth their own abundance in their own life. The other side of that card, the warning side, is saying that you must not go out of your way to do this. You must not go out of your way to be a source, not trying to put energy out for people, not trying to give of yourself. Just be yourself naturally and authentically, and that will, by a side effect, cause the environment to bring forth abundance. If you are deliberately pushing out energy and deliberately pushing out resources and giving it to people, it will do the same thing. It'll have the same effect. People will have the potential to bring forth abundance. Your environment will start to bring forth abundance, but you will get drained. You will get drained until you're no longer a source, until you're no longer a reliable source. So the card just wants to warn you that as you're stepping into this power, don't make it a deliberate effort to give of yourself to others. Rather, allow your cup to overflow naturally because you're focused on your own mission and your own purpose. And yeah, that concludes your reading. So thank you very much for joining. If you feel like you got some value out of the spread, please feel free to send a donation. You can also follow me and like this video and share it. Thank you so much. I'm sure I'll be seeing you again. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hugs back to you, virtual and ethereal. That's the word. Next in the queue is Ren's Cruise. Ren's Cruise on Facebook. If you are here, please let me know. Skitty says, should I be reaching out to my friend, love interest, PS, be in my highest good? Is there a problem at his end? Calming vibes, welcome back. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Skitty says, may I ask now? I believe that you should just go ahead and ask. You know, don't wait for me to give you permission. Just ask your question. Just to let you know, everybody who's watching the stream and everyone who's just arrived, there are more than 16 readings, more than 16 requests lined up, and I only have time enough to do 16. However, that doesn't mean that you won't get a reading. A lot of people make requests and then leave the chat, so it's very possible that you guys will still get a reading if you stick around, but there's also a chance that you might not. If you want to secure yourself a reading and make sure you get one before the stream ends, you can go ahead and send a donation. That will ensure that you get a reading. Ren's Cruise says here, amazing. Shalom says he's come back into the chat. Welcome back. Didn't know you were gone. Skitty says I've posted. Thank you for your question. I hope that I will have time to get to your question. What is the outcome of Ren's newfound relationship? Okay, Rens, your first card, your past interval is number 2, 2 of Cups, reversed. So this card is saying that when this relationship started, or before it was a romantic relationship, before you started dating, when it was just casual interactions, both of you came into this relationship looking for emotional fulfillment from an outside source, unable to give it to yourselves. You unable to feel satisfied and satiated with your own company and your own relationship, and likewise she was feeling the same. So this is not necessarily the best foot to start a relationship off on. What I've observed as a diviner over the years, what I've observed in people is that when they are not satisfied with themselves and they're not emotionally fulfilled within themselves, and they're looking for that in outside relationships and from an outside source, relationships don't last. The relationships they form and discover and create don't seem to last very long. That is not a certainty, because people can become self-aware. They can become aware of this fact that they have been looking for emotional fulfillment from an outside source, and they can shift that reality for themselves and start to fill their own cup. And what I've observed as a diviner over the years, observing relationships like this, when one party outgrows the need for a codependent relationship, it can also be a breaking moment for the relationship, as the one partner, the one who is still codependent, suddenly feels disconnected, suddenly feels like they're not getting that emotional support that they were so dependent on until that point, because the other partner has outgrown the need for that. They're able to fill their own cup, they no longer need it from an outside source. So it's quite rare that both parties in the relationship can evolve through that together. It's not a certainty that that when a relationship starts this way, that it will come to an end. What I have seen is that most of the time, when a relationship starts out where both parties are looking for emotional fulfillment from an external source, it doesn't last very long. Yeah, I don't mean to curse your relationship with that reading. That's things in the past. That's where you've come from. Let's see what is going on in the present. Well, would you look at that? It's an 8. It's an 8 of Swords. So 8 is all about those adjustments and shifts that I was talking about. And Swords is about purpose. So this is an adjustment. You, in the present, you're both going through adjustments in yourselves. You've identified that you are not the person you need to be in order to see the purpose that you have set for yourself become a reality. You have this desire and you're taking action to reach it, and at some point you became aware that the person you are is not the person that you need to be in order to see that future you want realized. That future you're creating won't realize unless, it won't realize for you as long as you stay the person that you've been up until this point. And this is not only applying to you, this is applying to her as well. She's having this realization as well, and both of you are now going through these shifts. It means letting go of certain habits, it means letting go of certain lifestyle, it means letting go of attachment to outcome and result, and that is all very difficult. And letting go of attachments to results, letting go of lifestyles and habits, all of that can be a big challenge, especially if they have been prevalent in one's life for a long time, especially if aspects of the identity have been built around those certain things that need to change. But acknowledging that those changes need to happen and making the conscious decision to see it through, that's basically what's required. After that, the shift begins to happen regardless of whether or not you're subscribing to it, whether or not you're trying to get there. The shift happens of its own accord. You don't necessarily see those shifts happening from day to day, but if you look back over the last month, you can probably see how much you've grown. And next month, you'll be able to look back on this month and see how much you've shifted and changed, and how much more you've come closer to who you need to be in order to see your purpose realized. Future interval is number 14 of the trumps. So this is a very encouraging card. It's called Art, and this is about co-creation. So what's about to open up for you in this relationship with this girl, your outcome, as you would like to know, is that both of you are going to be working on your own individual purpose. Like, she has a dream and you have a dream, and you guys will be working on these dreams independently. She'll be working on her dream and you'll be working on your dream, but her artistic process, the steps she takes to reach that, will inspire you and will support your process, and vice versa. Your creative process and the steps that you're taking will inspire and support her. It will be a co-creative effort. Even though you're creating two different kingdoms, you're creating two different dreams, but it is a co-creative effort where she's working on your dream and you're working on her dream. Two pillars leaning on each other and supporting one another. That concludes your reading. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for having patience with me as I went through the readings that were ahead of you in the queue. I hope that you got some value from the spread. I hope that it encourages you and gives you some hope. Yeah, if you're by the means, please send a donation. You can also like and subscribe. You're on Facebook, so you can like and follow and share. Thank you so much. All of that kind of support is invaluable. Welcome to the chat, Unjum Kazi. My father's name, Aniyat. Someone has my father's money. Will he return all the money? Already liked and shared. Liked, subscribed, and shared. Thank you so much for that. Your question adds you to the queue, but I'd like to let you know that I have more requests than I'm going to be able to keep up with. Now, that doesn't mean you won't get a reading. People often leave the chat. They often come in, make a request, and leave. So there is still a chance you will get your reading, but there's also a chance you might not. And if you would like to ensure that you get a reading, you can ensure and secure your reading by sending a donation of your choosing. And then I also see we've got a Sunil Abashat. Please tell me about my future life and financial situation. Thank you for your request. And Ren's Cruz says thank you for the reading. Ren's Cruz, you are most welcome. I hope that we'll be seeing you again. Next in line for a reading is Raki ML on YouTube, who's asking, how is my 2022 family life and financial stability? So Raki ML, please let me know if you're still in the chat, because your reading is up next. Welcome Mega Sushil, yeah, on Facebook. To join the queue, ask a question. My queue is full, but as the next person in line in the queue is not in the chat, so I'm moving on, which means that another possible reading is opened up. But if you'd like to secure yourself a reading, you can send a donation to make sure you get a reading before the stream ends. Okay, so next in the queue after Raki is Cosmic Dust. Cosmic Dust, let me know if you're here, because you're up next. Cosmic Dust asking, what are P's current feelings towards me? Mega, to get yourself into the queue, you just ask a question, letting you know that my queue is full. Some people make requests and then leave the queue, so there is a chance you'll get a reading, but if you want to make sure that you don't miss out, please send a donation to make sure you get your reading. Cosmic Dust says, I'm here. Amazing. How does P currently feel towards cosmic dust? Okay, so your past interval is the 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups is about shifts and adjustments regarding the regarding your emotional being and your emotional state of being. So this is saying that up until now, things that are coming to a close, he's perceived this in you. He's perceived that you are making adjustments to the way you cope with your emotions, how much you give out of your emotional value and how much you receive, because you have been in a state where your emotional cups are running dry. Only certain cups are being filled, and there's an imbalance between how much you're giving and how much you're receiving. Sometimes you're giving more than you're receiving, sometimes you're receiving more than you're giving, and you were going through some changes. You were making some changes to the way that you interacted, first of all, with your own emotions, and then how you interacted with that balance of income and expense, because you wanted to have a balanced flow. You didn't want to be giving out more than you were receiving, and you didn't want to be receiving more than you were prepared to give out. So he saw you making those shifts. That is what he saw. It inspired him to do similar things, to go through a similar process of examining himself and where he's giving out more emotional value than receiving, and vice versa. So that's something that's coming to a close, which implies that that balance has been found and established within you, at least. Even if he's still going through the process, the card is saying to me that you have reached the point of balance. In the present we have a Princess of Discs, and it's reversed. Okay, so this card is telling me that he does not feel sexually satisfied in the relationship. He feels like there are moments where he wants to seek sexual satisfaction and gratification outside of the relationship because he doesn't feel like he's getting it in the relationship. There are moments where he has to deliberately turn his thoughts back to you, so as not to allow them to wander. More than that, he also feels like his creative process doesn't have any value to you. Like you are working on creating financial stability for yourself and for him, for you guys collectively. You have a process that you're busy with, and you are creative within that process, and he feels like he has value to offer that process, and he feels like his process is also valuable, and that you have value to give to his process, but he feels like there's resistance, like you won't allow his creativity to support or boost your process, and he feels like you're not prepared to allow your process, your creativity, to boost his process, and that leaves him feeling dissatisfied and disappointed. So that's one aspect of it, is the financial, physical security, the working on that. He feels like that more could be done. He could be supporting you more, you could be allowing him to support you more, and you could be supporting him more. He wishes there was some more co-creation there. He also is having difficulty expressing his sexual needs and having difficulty setting down sexual boundaries. Just something to be aware of in the present for both of you. Future interval is Ace of Discs. So this card is about communication, specifically regarding your physical needs, that is health needs, that is financial needs, and that is sexual needs. So basically what this card is saying is that as you move forward into the future, something that can help you get to a healthy outcome that you want to create, is to communicate all of these things clearly and openly, to communicate what you feel like your health needs are, your dietary needs, what you feel is important for you in your finances, and boundaries concerning that, saying, okay, I need to be able to dedicate so much time to my creative process, to this thing that I'm doing to secure myself financially. And so yeah, if you're going to get in the way of that, it's going to be a problem. Just communicating all of these things clearly, and what you expect when it comes to sex life, what you need, what you feel you need, what your boundaries are. All of these things need to be communicated openly in order to ensure that a healthy outcome is realized. And it wants to... The tarot is saying that you need to take initiative with that communication. You need to go and start expressing, because he's dealing with a lot of shit. He's dealing with a lot of shit that he's internalizing, that he's not talking about out loud. And so it's important that you start communicating about these things. You start communicating about your creative process, about your finances, about your sexual life and your sexual boundaries, communicating all of that so that he gets the opportunity to understand from your perspective, and then give him the opportunity to express himself and listen with compassion to what he has to say. This is actually it's a cornerstone in a relationship. It's a cornerstone upon which you build a relationship, this kind of communication. And that concludes your reading. So thank you for joining. I know you said there we've only just started getting to know each other, but that doesn't change the way he's feeling. Sometimes what we feel is irrational. Surely you can relate to that. Surely you've had moments where you feel things that are irrational and they don't actually apply to your present circumstances, but that doesn't mean you don't feel them. So it might be the fact that you're only starting to get to know each other, but that doesn't change the way he feels, that doesn't change the way you feel, whether or not those feelings are irrational. But amazing that you felt the same about reaching out and communicating openly, and I think that's a very good idea. God bless you too, and good luck, wealth and prosperity and good fortune to you. Please feel free to send a donation if you felt like you received some value from this spread. Thank you. So Mega Sushil has asked, how will my health and career be this year? Thank you for your question, Mega. And then we've got P. Parul Sharma. When will I get married? Thank you for your question, P. Parul. Just to let you know, my queue is quite full. That doesn't mean you won't get a reading, but it does mean that you might not get a reading. If you'd like to ensure that you get a reading, please send a donation. That will make sure that you get a reading before the stream ends. Next in my queue is Tony Allen. Am I receiving my housing voucher? And do I need to walk away from my relationship? So Tony Allen, if you are still here in the chat, please let me know, because your reading is up next. Tony says he's here. Amazing. Will Tony be receiving his housing voucher, and what is the correct course of action regarding his current relationship? Okay, so your past interval is the 9 of Cups, and it's reversed. So the 9 of Cups reversed is implying that throughout the year of 2021, it was necessary for you to do some self-reflection, to look back at your life, to look back on the year in general, and see where you reacted negatively to emotional stimulus, particularly regarding your relationship. Basically self-reflecting on where you have been at fault, and also self-reflecting on where you have been aligned and healthy. This is an important process, because acknowledging our faults allows us not to repeat them, and acknowledging our success allows us to step forward in the future in bigger leaps and bounds, applying our positive learnings, applying our positive experiences in the future. Now, this card reverse tells me that while you were doing this self-reflecting in 2021, you justified yourself rather than accepting and acknowledging where you have been at fault. So there were moments where you felt a negative feeling where your partner said something that was triggering to you, and then you spoke from a place of emotional reaction, saying something spiteful or something hurtful. And then when you were in this place of self-reflection and you were looking back, you can acknowledge all the places that you did well and you were aligned. And then when you look at the places where you were at fault, you're finding ways to justify why it was okay for you to behave in that way, rather than acknowledging that that wasn't healthy and that it's something that needs to change. So this card wants to make you aware of that so that you can stop justifying yourself, because honestly, every single time that you react negatively to a negative emotion, you self-sabotage. You sabotage your relationship and you sabotage your dream, and that's just the way of things. The only way to act in alignment is to take those negative feelings and acknowledge them and choose to speak and act within the purpose that you've chosen, rather than out of a reaction to the emotion. That is the only way to be healthy when triggered. If you've been triggered, to speak based on the emotion that's been triggered is unhealthy and toxic. You have to acknowledge, first of all, that you're feeling this way and this emotion is telling you to say something hurtful, and then acknowledging that that will not help you, that that is self-sabotage to listen to that emotion, and then instead choosing to say something and act in a way that brings you closer to the outcome, the healthy outcome, the desire, the purpose that you want to create for yourself and that relationship. Present interval is 3 of Swords reversed. So this three is basically the number of awareness, self-awareness, and nourishment, support, hope, and Swords is about purpose. The card reversed indicates that there's a little bit of turmoil there, a little bit of blockage. And what this is saying is that in your present moment, you are becoming aware of what your purpose is. You're becoming self-aware of who you need to be in order to have the dream that you're creating for yourself and your family. In that realization brings hope for that future. It makes that future a possibility. It makes you realize that it is something you can actually aspire for and something you can attain. It being reversed means that this part of this realization, part of becoming aware of who you need to be and what you need to do, some of those things require you to let go, and let go of certain aspects of relationships, let go of certain aspects of yourself, let go of certain lifestyle that you've had until that point, and those things can bring with them some unpleasant emotions, some difficult emotions. They can act as resistances, but the fact of the self-awareness, of just finally being able to acknowledge where you're going and how you're going to get there and who you need to be in order to get there, that is very powerful. And as I was saying, it brings hope for that future. It brings hope for that outcome. So it's not giving me a direct yes or no, will you receive your housing voucher, but what it is saying is that there is hope that you will have housing. There's a purpose that you have set for yourself. You have a desire, and that's to secure yourself and your family. And you are taking action to reach that. You are aware of who you need to be and what you need to be doing in order to see that realized, and that awareness and that knowing makes it a possibility. It makes it something that's attainable. Whether or not it's given to you in the form of a housing voucher, or if you make some other way to attain that, it is attainable for you. Future interval, what's opening up for you is a 2 of Cups. So the 2 of Cups here is reversed, and this is saying that you will probably have to walk away from your relationship, because as the relationship currently stands, you are looking for emotional fulfillment from your partner rather than seeking that emotional fulfillment from within yourself. And your partner is seeking that emotional fulfillment from you rather than seeking it within herself. So what this card is saying is that it is probably a good idea to walk away from the relationship, even if it's only for a small amount of time. the purpose of that is for you and her to discover how to fulfill yourselves emotionally rather than seeking it from an outside source. How to find validity within yourself. Like we saw with the Three of Swords, you are working on your own purpose. And so when other people look at you and they see that, and then they say things like, oh, you're a bum, you're not doing anything to make your dream real, it affects you. It makes you feel invalid. It makes you feel like there's no validation, no recognition, and it almost makes you want to stop working on what you're currently doing. And that's the issue. And that is because you're looking for validation and recognition from an outside source rather than relying on your own validation. Because other people don't know what you're actually doing. They don't know what you're dealing with. They don't know what you're actually doing from day to day in your routine and how you're getting towards your outcome. You alone know that. So you are the only one who can recognize and validate you in that process. And learning to be satisfied with your own validation is highly important. So what this card is saying, what your future card is saying, is that it might be a good idea for you to walk away from this relationship just for a time so that you can learn to be satisfied with your own validation, with your own recognition, and then learning to fill your own emotional cup and be satisfied with the relationship with yourself, not needing that from an outside source, and letting go of any attachments that you have to that kind of emotional support from someone other than yourself. And that concludes your reading. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I know that you have already followed me. You can support me further by checking me out on my other platforms and liking and subscribing on those platforms as well. So thank you very much. And yeah, I look forward to hearing how you've progressed since today when I see you again, because I see you have grown in leaps and bounds since the last time that I did a reading for you. So very much looking forward to seeing how much you've grown since today, since this reading, in the next stream that I see you. And God bless you as well. Okay, so welcome G Gamer on YouTube, asking me, sir, please can you tell me about my result? Thank you for your question. I just want to let you know that my queue is quite full. So certain people leave the queue, and that leaves room for other people to join the queue. But yeah, there is a chance that you might not receive a reading today because my time is running out. If you would like to secure yourself a reading today, you can send a donation that will ensure that I stick around long enough to give you a reading before I close the stream. Alternatively, you can also reach out to me, and now I'm speaking to everybody in the chat. You can reach out to me in a direct message and schedule private reading if you prefer. Otherwise, alternatively, once again, you can join me on Wednesday when I do this free live open stream from 3 to 5 GMT plus 2. Having a look to see who is next in the chat. Okay, so Skitty is up next in the queue. And Skitty's question, as far as I can remember, it was to do with a friend. How is S doing in his life? I feel like at some point Skitty might have adjusted this question a little bit, but at the point where Skitty joined the queue, the question was, how is my friend S doing in his life? Should I reach out to him if it will help? He's not communicating for the past few days. Okay, so is reaching out to my friend S, will it be in my highest good? Actually, I have dropped a text already. Okay, so would you like to edit your question a little bit further, since you've already reached out, acknowledging that that was from your higher self, that that prompt was from within your spirit? Let's perhaps ask the tarot what he's going through and why he's isolating. Do you think that works? Comfortable with that? Okay, how will things go from here on? Cool. Okay, we'll go with my question then. My question was, what is he going through presently that has inspired him to self-isolate? Letting everybody else in the queue know that I've been online for 1 hour and 30 minutes. That leaves me with approximately 3 more free readings to give away. Anyone who has joined the queue, you guys, yeah, if you want to ensure that you get a reading today, please send a donation, because there are way more than 3 requests in the queue, and I've only got time enough to give away 3 more free readings. So Miga, Barsha, G-Gamer, and everyone else who has recently joined, if you guys want to ensure that you get a reading today, please send a donation. How is Skitty's love interest S doing? What is he currently going through, he or she, that has inspired this period of self-isolation? Past interval is a Prince of Swords. So the Prince energy is about reaching a point where you're ready to face off with challenges that you've been neglecting or running away from. Acknowledging that you now have gone through enough, learned enough, grown enough. It's just saying it's reaching a point where you can acknowledge that you've grown enough, that it's now time to face off this challenge that you've been running away from until now. Mercy is asking, how can I send a donation? So if you check the description, you will see that there is a PayPal link there. You can send a donation to that PayPal link. There's also an Air Fund project, and you can donate to the Air Fund project. Those are the only options that I have at this point. Anyway, so Skitty, what this card is saying to me is that this relationship between you and an S, for him it was him saying, okay, I'm ready to face this challenge. He's been through past relationships where there was trauma, where there was heartbreak, and he kind of closed his heart off to relationships and love because of that as a result, and he ran away from that, tried to stay away from it. And then meeting you, he resonated so well with you that it was like he said, okay, well, I've grown enough since this trauma. It's now time to prove to myself that I've grown, and that what I've learned and what I've experienced is enough to face this challenge, and that it can probably be good for me, to get into this relationship. And that's what that card is talking about. So that was when it all began. It's stuff that's already happened, stuff that's coming to a close. In the present, we have a 10 of Cups. Ten of Cups, it talks about fullness of emotions. So when I see this card in my spreads, it's usually reversed. Well, it has been reversed lately, but reversed all the right way around. It's just talking about allowing emotions to express themselves in their entirety. A lot of the time we push intense emotions aside, whether they be positive or negative. We fear how it will impact our environment, so we push it to one side, and that creates a lot of discomfort in the soul. If it comes to something like pain, if we've experienced a loss or we've just come out of a relationship and we push those emotions aside, then we live in this state of depression. There are all these side effects of pushing that pain aside, suppressing it. You can only really find peace and satisfaction once you allow your pain to express itself. Now, this card is not reversed, so I don't feel like it's talking about pain specifically. It's talking about love. It's talking about positive feelings, joy and love and happiness. So he's feeling all of these things, and until now he has been suppressing it and pushing it away and choosing not to let you know about it, not communicating it, not expressing it, pushing it down, and that brought up some unhealthy side effects, as it always does. But in the present, as he's been self-isolating from you and separating from you in these last few days where there's been no communication, during that time and right now, he is allowing all of those feelings to express themselves. He's singing, dancing, doing whatever is necessary to let them express themselves so that he can move through the negative side effects that came up from the suppression. Your future interval is the Queen of Swords reversed. So Queen of Swords, Queen energy is about having a desire and then reaching out to grab it. So Swords is about purpose. What this card is saying to me is that for him, he wants a certain thing and he wants to take action towards getting it, but he feels like this purpose he's setting for himself is so big and so overwhelming that it's almost hopeless. He's like, I want this thing and I want to step out to make it happen, but I'm so afraid of failing that I almost can't motivate myself to actually take the first step. So what this card is suggesting is that he does it, that he actually take that step, that he not allow that hopelessness to get in the way, that he has this desire, he has this purpose set for himself, he has these feelings of hopelessness surrounding it, but he should not allow those feelings to sabotage the process. I feel specifically like this is regarding this relationship with you, wanting to reach out to you. So you're asking me, could that be someone else he's feeling that with? No. That doesn't resonate at all with the energy that I'm reading here in this spread. The relationship with you is the challenge that he was choosing to face, the challenge he was ignoring until now. These intense positive feelings that he's expressing right now are for you. It's feelings that you've inspired in him. He's been ignoring them and shunning them out of a fear of getting attached, out of fear of falling in love, but right now he's allowing those feelings to channel through him. Future interval, he wants to reach out, he wants to build a future together with you, he wants, that is the purpose he set for himself, but he's so afraid of failure, so afraid of rejection, that he's almost not able to motivate himself to take the first step and actually communicate that to you. So yeah, that's past, present and future intervals right there. The Queen of Swords can also resonate for you. It can say, if you resonate with that, if you want if you want the same thing, if you want this relationship and you want to build a future together with S, realize that he is so afraid of rejection right now that he can't motivate himself to take that first step, and it's almost sabotaging him. It's almost, so that future exists and there's a window of opportunity to seize it, and it's passing because he's not taking action to seize it. It's passing by, and that window, it's going to pass by that window. So if you want it and he's not reaching for it, you can give him a little bit of time to reach for it because it will be good for him to do so. But yeah, if you want it, don't let him let it go by. Don't let him let that opportunity pass. And that concludes your reading. Thank you very much for your patience in waiting for your reading, and thank you very much for joining us today and supporting the stream. If you're by the means, please send a donation as a means of returning some of the value for the value that you've received. Peace and prosperity and abundance to you this year and in your relationship. Namaste. You're most welcome. Okay, so next in my queue, I have a Richa Sina asking, Richa Sina on YouTube asking, will I get complete solution for my social problem in this month? Welcome, Chris. Thank you for supporting me and joining the stream. And thank you for your kind words, saying, love just listening to you. You have a calming voice. Thank you so much for that recognition and those kind words. Chris is also saying, hope you had a wonderful New Year's and hope 22 will be even better for you and your family. Thank you very much. And to you as well. Nothing but peace and abundance and prosperity for you this year, my friend. Welcome, Murty009 2022. It's been a while. Thank you for joining us today. And I see we also got some other folks joining the chat. And Monica Rathor. Monica Rathor, please tell me about my results. I gave exam in September. So letting you know, Monica, my queue is full. I've only got time for about 2 more free readings. So if you would like to still get a reading today, please send a donation to ensure your spot. Otherwise, you can join me on Wednesday or even just reach out to me privately and schedule a private reading. Mercy was asking how to send a donation, so checking my inboxes to see if that happened. So I see nothing, no notifications in my email. And no notifications with the Air Fund either. Cool. Okay, so Richa Sina has left the chat. Next in the queue would be Wanderer and Wanderer on Twitch, hoping to launch some new projects in January, February. What advice and challenges surrounding this? Wanderer and Wanderer, if you are here, you are next in the queue for a reading. Murdy says, I went on a long holiday and now I have to quarantine again because I might or might not have gotten COVID. Lol. Every time I leave the house I get COVID. Wanderer and Wanderer says thank you. Thank you for your patience, Wanderer and Wanderer. And welcome to Twitch. I saw earlier you were saying that you're new to Twitch. So welcome. Here in the House of Kerr, this little room, it changes, it shifts and changes into different rooms because I am not the only channel that streams from this room. My partner, Priestess Azura, Aziza Azura, you can find her at the bottom of my channel as one of the suggested streamers. Yellow Daisy's also there, my sister, the Abnormal Pug, my brother, Unconventional Couple. We are quite a big community of content creators here, and the number just keeps growing. I've got a new friend named Rex, the conscious crafter, who has just joined the house. He hasn't started streaming anything just yet, but yeah. Thanks for checking us out. and for supporting us. Thank you for your recognition. You're saying there, thank you so much, and I'm enjoying this, and your readings are awesome. Welcome to the chat, Peggy Era Igbens. Just letting you guys know, I've got time enough for 2 more free readings which have already been claimed. So if you guys want to ensure that you get a reading today still, you're going to have to send a donation in order to secure that spot. Thank you very much for your patience. What advice does the universe have for Wanderer and Wanderer regarding these new projects that he is launching? Monica Rathor, as I've said, I have reached the end of my queue and have only time enough for 2 more readings which have been claimed. So if you would like to receive a reading today still, please send a donation. Alternatively, you can reach out to me privately and schedule a private reading. So, Wanderer and Wanderer, your first card, your past interval, is the 3 of Wands reversed. 3 is all about becoming aware, self-awareness, and Wands is about desires and intentions. So basically, this is saying to me that 2021, towards the end of 2021, you became aware of your desires. You became aware of what you would have to do if you ever wanted to see those desires become real and grow into their fruition. You also became self-aware of how your intentions affect your outcomes, whether those intentions are positive or negative. Just being self-aware of where you've sown negative intentions and where you've sown positive intentions. Becoming aware of how that impacts the mission that you're working towards. And this process of being aware and becoming aware and identifying who you need to be and what you need to do in order to see your plans grow into their fruition, that's you nourishing your plans. That's you giving them what they need, the sustenance that they need in order to grow and be resilient to the world. Literally, your self-awareness, your being aware of what's necessary and what's required of you, is the lifeblood that fuels your plans and your goals and your mission. The card is reversed, so that's indicating to me that it was a little bit of a challenge for you to acknowledge the full extent of what was necessary for you to see your desires realized, the full extent of who you'd have to become and what you'd have to let go of and what you'd have to grow into. It was a little bit of a challenge to acknowledge that and to choose that that is what you were going to do. A little bit of a challenge, but it's in the past. 2021 is gone, we're in 2022. So in the present we have a Queen of Wands here. And this is an interesting card. This Queen of Wands is saying to me that right now in your present, you're a little too passionate. Now, passion is never a bad thing. As we saw, Wands is about desires and intentions. The Queen is also about desires and intentions. The Queen energy is like, hey, I want that, so I'm going to make it a reality. I'm going to step out and claim it. And then Wands is to do with desires and intentions, saying, okay, it's double passion, basically. And in this card, the Queen is seated on a throne of flames, and she's wielding a tiger with her left hand. So the tiger is a symbol of fear. Basically, you are communicating what your desires and intentions are, but you're speaking with so much intensity and so much passion that it's almost frightening for the people that are hearing you. The people who are witnessing you are intimidated by what you're doing and by what you're saying. There's this like shock value to your words and your actions that is, it's intimidating, but the card is not reversed, so it's telling me that it's not detrimental to your outcome. What you're trying to create, this shock value that you're putting out, it might be scaring people a little bit, but it's not actually sabotaging what you're creating. So that's a good sign. There is a bit of advice coming from this card, just saying be aware of your passion, be discerning of when it's time to use that shock value and to really impress and intimidate, and when it's time to tone it down a little bit and communicate the less passionate aspects of what you're busy creating. It's like you're asking about challenges, what challenges to be aware of. That's one of the challenges to be aware of. There are certain people who are going to respond negatively to the intensity of your passion, the intensity of your intentions, and the intensity of your desires, and how quickly you're leaping towards it. And there are certain people who will be inspired and encouraged by it. And so that's the challenge for you, the discerning between who to impress and who to take it easy with. That is key in launching these projects. Future interval is Princess of Discs. So this is what's opening up for you. It's a key to unlock the future that you're trying to create, to unlock the success of these projects that you're launching. So Discs is about physical security, that's financial security, that's health and fitness, that's home safety. And Princess energy is about creation. It's about finding creative solutions. So what this card is saying to me is that as you're moving into January and February, these months where you're launching these projects, there will be opportunities for you to support other people. There will be opportunities for you to allow the process that you're working on and the routine and the structure that you follow in order to see your projects realize into your present. Your process you will have opportunities to support others with that process, to allow your process to inspire and support others who are doing similar things. And there will be opportunities for other people, for you to allow other people to let their creative process and what they're doing to support your projects. And the card is the right way around, saying that this is something that you are hoping for as you move forward with your projects. This is something that you're counting on, and the card is showing up just to make sure that you don't miss it when it does show itself. If the card was reversed, I'd say that you've got to work on your ability to allow others to complement your process. But the card is the right way around, indicating that you are very much ready for this. And just be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for people that you can support with your process and with what you're doing with your project. Because the universe often waits for us to make an investment before it gives us anything. It's a strange phenomenon because, it's like, where does it start? Do I make the first investment or does someone invest in me first? But the universe just likes to see it when we are the ones who take the initiative. So if you see someone that you can support with your process and someone who can benefit from getting involved in your projects, reach out to them and bring them in. The universe will recognize that, and it'll happen for you as well, where someone else will recognize that your process is aligned with what they're creating, your projects resonate with them, and they will bring you into their platform so that you can support them and vice versa. And that concludes your reading. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I hope that you got some value out of the spread. Thank you for all of your recognition, and thank you for following. I'm sure that I will be seeing you again. Peace upon you. If you feel like you'd like to return some value for the value you receive from the spread, you can send me a donation of your choosing. It would be highly appreciated. Thank you so much. Entirely optional though. And many blessings and gratitude to you as well. Welcome to the chat, Demiser, and Shruti Ostwal. So I've only got time enough for one more reading, and there are many readings lined up in the queue. So if anyone here who has just recently joined the stream, if you guys would like to ensure that you get a reading before the stream closes, it will be required that you send a donation, as I only have one more free reading to give. And it has already been claimed. There are a lot of requests in the queue. Manju on YouTube is asking, can I get a love reading? So Manju, if you are here, let me know, because you are next in the queue. I feel absolutely certain that Manju is not here anymore, so I'm going to move on. Sindel Mais says, hello, would love a reading. Sindel did ask a question a little bit lower down. Would like to know, will I become permanent staff this year? Sindel Mais, if you're here, let me know. Please confirm. I feel absolutely certain that Sindel Mais is not here. So, I'm sure that I did answer you, Shruti. I told you that my queue is full and I will not be able to give you a free reading today. If you would like to get a reading today, please send a donation, otherwise it's not going to happen. Same thing to Mercy, who keeps on asking me, please, please. I've run out of time and I've run out of free readings. Please guys, if you want to ensure you get a reading today, send a donation, otherwise you're going to have to join me on Wednesday. And when you do join me on Wednesday, make sure you arrive early on in the stream if you want to get a free reading. I'm only able to stick around for 2 hours at a time. And there's only so many readings I can give in that time. So Markwell, welcome. I'm at the end of the stream. I have one free reading left to give, and there are so many requests. If you'd like to get a reading today, please send a donation. Elisa Manzini, Elisa Manzini on YouTube. If you are here, let me know. You are next in the queue. How can I be put on the list? Can I please have a message about healing? So if you are here, please let me know. I don't think you are here. So Shulun on Twitch. Shulun, if you are here, let me know. Should I give up on pursuing A romantically? Please let me know if you are here. You are next in the queue. Shulun. Hey, well, what do you know? Mercy! Mercy, you are still here, I know that. Can I pick a card for you? Yes, I can. You are next in the queue. Funny how things work out. Rara, I'm afraid Mercy made her request an hour ago and is only getting her reading now. So, yeah, if you'd like to get a reading, it'll not be free. It'll be donation based. So Mercy, do you want to confirm your question? Do you have a specific question you'd like to ask, or do you want a general reading? This is the last free reading I'm giving for the day. If anyone else in the chat would like to get a reading today still, please send a donation. After this reading, I will be closing the stream unless I have received a donation. Monica says, love you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Monica. Christopher Finlay says, thumbs up. Thank you so much, Chris. General reading for Mercy. What general advice and general guidance does the universe have for Mercy? What opportunities exist in her present moment that she might be overlooking? Okay, so Mercy, your past interval is the Ace of Swords reversed. So this card, it talks to me about, it's talking about miscommunication and lies throughout 2021, particularly the last couple months of 2021. Swords is about purpose, it's about intuition. So This card for me is saying that there was a lot of miscommunication and lack of communication going on regarding intuition and purpose in the last couple of months of 2021. So that was from your side and from the side from others. People had set purpose for themselves, and when asked about it, they were not being very clear about it. They were being vague, miscommunicating it, leaving out important information. People were having intuitive knowings, and they call them knowings, and then not being honest about them, saying something other than what the intuition is saying to them. But it wasn't only happening outside of you, you were doing the same thing. You had set a certain purpose for yourself, and you were reluctant to speak honestly about it, so you were omitting important parts of that purpose when people asked you about it. Also, you had a certain understanding of what your intuition was telling you, and when asked about it or when confronted, you were not being entirely honest, giving a less than honest rundown of what the intuition was saying, something that was different to what the intuition was actually saying to you. And that was detrimental not only to the other people but to you as well. However, that is in the past. It's 2021, which is long behind us. In the present, I have a 5 of Swords for you. So number 5 is about applying yourself to your maximum potential. And Swords, once again, is about purpose and intuition. So you have a purpose, you're working towards it, you've chosen purpose, and you're applying your knowledge and your resources and your intuitive abilities to their maximum potential in order to see that purpose realized for you in your present. And that is commendable. That is beautiful to see. The only advice that I'm getting from this card is to say, be mindful of your limitations. Be mindful of the limitations on your intuitive process and how you understand it. Be mindful of the limitations you have in your knowledge. Be mindful of your technological limitations and your financial limitations. Try and make sure that you don't reach for an outcome that is further than what your resources and your knowledge can carry you. In every moment that you are applying yourself, there is a limit on how much that you know. And that's true for all of us. And every moment that we live and take steps towards our future, we learn new things that help us overcome those limits. It's important in the moment to acknowledge where your limits are so that you don't reach further than what your knowledge and your resources can carry you. And that's all the advice that that card has to say. The card is not reversed, so it is saying to me that you are not reaching further than you can carry yourself based on your knowledge and your resources. It's saying that what you are trying to reach for is very much within your grasp based on the knowledge and resources you currently have. Future interval is the Prince of Discs reversed. So this card is saying that as you continue working on your purpose and manifesting it for yourself, there is going to be some financial difficulty along the road. It's like when you plant a seed, the seed doesn't actually give you anything until it's fully grown. You have to give of yourself and invest into that plant every day, even though the plant isn't giving you anything just yet. You know that it will someday, and so all of this investment is in preparation for that harvest. So basically that's what this future interval card is saying to you. It's saying that while you're working on manifesting this purpose for yourself, there's going to be periods where nothing's coming in and there's going to be some financial struggle. But you have enough experience and enough knowledge and enough resources to make it through. You can engage your potential and you can stick it through. You can push through that suffering and that financial strain, and you can make that breakthrough. You can reach your harvest. Don't allow that financial difficulty, that period of financial instability to shut down this purpose that you're working on. Don't at any point think to yourself, hey, I've been investing into this for so long and I'm not receiving anything and now I'm having financial difficulty, it's not going to work, I'm going to have to try something else. Don't do that, is what that card is saying. It's saying engage your potential and knuckle down and push through that period of instability, because the investments you're making of your time and energy into this purpose that you're working on now, it will bring about returns at the end of the road once that seed is grown. Right now it's a small little plant. It's not ready to give you anything, but one day it will be an abundant fruit tree that you can harvest from. So don't let financial instability let you think that that plant is worthless. That plant will reap a harvest. If you neglect it now, it will die. Continue to water it, continue to nourish it. And that concludes your reading. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you for your patience in waiting this long to receive it. Yeah, please like and subscribe, and if you, I might be cheeky by saying this, but if you're by the means, please send a donation of your choosing as a way of returning value for the value that you've received. And that concludes all of my free readings for the day, guys. My 2 hours are up, and so yeah, I haven't received any donations from anyone, so no one is getting an overtime reading. Peace upon you all, and I will see you on Wednesday, same time, 3 to 5 GMT +2. Until then.